Hey Euphasia, I said I was going to reply to your previous video, but I'm actually going to reply to this one just because I just watched it and it's fresher in my mind, and I'll express the same stuff I was going to say in the reply to the other one, basically. I just did a lot of videos about psychedelic drugs, um, and so I definitely know where you're coming from when you talk about these altered states uh, supplying you with meaning when you were younger and searching for some way of expressing the eternal or the infinite and reconnecting with meaning. Because it seems like the status quo, the regular mind that we usually employ to get around the world and to understand ourselves and others and the world, is very meaningless. It reduces us to a part, and only a part. We become ego, and ego has no connection to other egos besides um, agreement. So if two egos agree, their opinions line up, then they can say we belong to the same team. But that doesn't mean that they are in any way connected on a deeper level. It just means they agree for now, so they have an alliance. And we have this model of this ego model for everything. Um, and the ego has no greater purpose. All its only purpose is to look out for itself. And that kind of a selfish existence is inherently frightening. And if you identify with an ego, you're going to fear everything. Because everything's trying to get you. Everything is outside of you. Everything is external to you, other than you. And everything wants to kill you. Everything is pushing against your life, trying to wipe you out because you're nothing but a temporary accident that pops into existence at birth and pops out of existence at death. And if that's all you identify with in your life, where's the meaning? If you don't recognize this deeper self, that the deeper self that observes, that witnesses the changes that are always occurring in the world, in other people, and in ourselves, because we think we have some stable identity. And we do have a stable identity. The stable identity is the witness, the deeper self, the eternal self. But the eternal self is a witness of everything that happens to us emotionally, physically, spirit. I mean, even our ideas of what spirituality are. I mean, you mentioned in a message about that we may use different words to talk about the same kind of upwelling of evolutionary consciousness trying to manifest itself. We may use different words and we may have different conceptions, but the conceptions are based on the same unspeakable, unexpressible inner force that just is so immediately there that we can't grab it and throw it at one another with in the form of a word. We just have to. There has to be that mutual understanding, and the more people that can build that mutual understanding, the better. Because without that mutual understanding, people become divided and they get stuck in their ego opinions and stuff, and they can't interact, they can't communicate, because we don't need to use the same words to describe what we think to have a sense of union or a communion with one another, because we're all talking about the same thing once we get past trying to be literally correct about how we phrase it, right? You talked about your early experiences with altered states of consciousness. They felt like dreams because you knew they were only occurring because of whatever the substance was that you ingested. You knew that it was going to wear off soon, and you knew that all your realizations could just be these crazy chemical-induced hallucinations. But they certainly don't feel that way at the time. I know that from my own personal experience. And you're right, though. It's not the drugs. It's not. These aren't altered states of consciousness. These are deeper stages of consciousness that we can reach without having to rely on anything external to ourselves. All these external substances that we can use to transform ourselves are very interesting tools and very useful tools, but they aren't. They're just the raft to get us across the river. They're not what lies on the other side of the river itself. They're just a means of transportation, a means of helping us to understand and recognize that there is something more than just the rational waking self. We gotta get rid of the crutch and just identify with that pure self you're talking about. And when you do that, everything falls into place. There's no more dysfunction. There's no more disassociation between anything. Because concepts, they don't necessarily fall away, but they become what they are, just concepts, ways of conceiving of the world, ways of framing the world, ways of boxing the world and stacking them and organizing the facts we know or think we know. And we have to do that as human beings. We have to speak to each other, and we have to use definitions for words, and we have to build these conceptual models. But the important thing is not to identify with the conceptual models, because they're going to fall down, they're going to change, they're going to evolve and adapt. And if you identify with them, with a particular image, a particular organization of your conceptual mind, you're going to be either very closed-minded and arrogant, or very fearful, because you realize, oh my God, there's all these other ways of organizing my mental boxes, and I picked my way, and I have to really clutch onto that way because they're going to try to, change me, and you're going to be a very frightened person. So we got to get more lucid. We got to make these states, these altered states, into normal stages, and it's a big leap because we don't even know what they mean, because we can't express it clearly in words. There needs to be this experiential, first-hand awareness of them before the words even happen. And part of that is just recognizing time, and that time is one of these conceptual boxes that we framed our experience into, and time is ever present. It's always now. It's always not the present, because the present, when you say I'm present, you're saying I'm here in between these two lines, this side of the line being the past and this side of the line being the future, and I'm right there between the two. That's not the now moment. So the present that's in between the past and the future isn't the same as the now, because the now includes the past and the future with it. So it's not just the present, it's the whole of time is now, right? And I think when we recognize that, you talk a lot about the physical world not being real, that it's an illusion. And I don't necessarily disagree, but the physical world isn't physical, or matter isn't what we think it is. It's not this dead, inert, unintelligent substance that just blindly follows the lust of causal law, or whatever it may be. It's alive. It's just as alive as we are. We are made of it. Our minds are made of it, and no doubt there is this eternal that's motivating matter to become spirit. But the matter isn't all an illusion. The matter is an integral part of the whole manifestation. So we can't escape our bodies and escape this world. This world is the eternal. There's no separation between this world and the other world. The whole point of this arising of global consciousness is to make manifest the spirit world on the world of matter, in the physical world, right here, The kingdom of heaven is on earth. And that's important to remember. You said clarity encases the physical, and that's true. It encases it. It embraces it. It loves it. It doesn't try to distance itself from it.